Hi,
Hey,
he's David.
and he's Doug.
He's an adorable orphan,
And he's a snozcumber.
and together we are
Too Deep.
And we just saw the BFG, a Steven Spielberg production of the classic Roald Dahl book.
The Big Friendly Giant. I mean, you probably knew that, but just in case, that's what BFG stands for.
In case.
You never know.
You never know. So, do you want to get straight on to the positives?
Positive. Yeah.
Alright then, take us away.
Yoga. You go first, please.
Alright, let's start off with the fact that the special effects in this were godlike.
Yes.
There was lots and lots of special effects, and the only time any of it ever looked janky was one section that lasted about 3 seconds, where the BFG is running down a big, long beach. That's it. There is nothing. There's nothing awry in this. There's no bit where it looks weird or low budget or like Doom.
Well,
It
they
just
put a lot of effort into the BFG's face.
yeah.
Like it's detailed like crazy.
There's some fantastic motion capture going on in there.
Yeah.
I expect this is probably the result of what they were doing with Tintin. They refined what they did with Tintin and turned it into the BFG.
Yeah.
Not that Tintin was a bad film. Tintin was great. I love Tintin. Anywho, that's me getting off the subject.
The use of 3D in this film was good as well because it really used depth really well rather than making things pop out of you. It really gave things space, and that was really nice for me.
Yeah, for a movie about giants and little tiny humans, it used the whole 3D thing to really sell you on the idea that Sophie is absolutely tiny.
Mm.
And I suppose for those who are unfamiliar with the story, the BFG follows the story of Sophie, an adorable little orphan girl who gets taken away by the BFG, which stands for the Big Friendly Giant, who is, as his name implies, big, friendly, and a giant.
Yeah.
However, there are other giants in Giant Country who aren't so very nice and may or may not want to eat Sophie alive.
You said
Hijinks happen.
Yeah, you said it sticks very close to the original book, didn't you?
Yes, it is. That's another thing. It's actually a very faithful adaptation of the original book. There are a couple of points of deviation, but there's nothing that I think they really dropped from the original. Correct me if I'm wrong on this, but I don't think there's anything of the source material they really left behind. Which I think is really good when to see that you can do a faithful adaptation of a book. Obviously we have things like the Harry Potter movies, which play out more like Cliff Notes versions of the books. Or I'm not sure about the Hunger Games. They fairly accurate. Fairly accurate. But this is pretty much painstakingly accurate down to the dialogue, and it's good that it works. It feels a little compressed in places, like things just happen really quickly in quick succession. But that's nothing to do with the editor or director's problem. That is the actual flow of the book itself, just being translated into film. Somewhat warts and all on that.
Yeah. I also found the colours in this were used really well too. Like, they were vibrant colours. And like...
You always go for colours.
Yeah, because they're pretty.
You have to like pretty colours.
No, you have to agree with this one, because in the jazz...
I will have to agree with this. It was a gorgeous film. And yes, the dreams were really pretty.
Yeah, we'll explain that more in spoilers, of course.
So obviously, those who are unfamiliar, a plot point on this is that the BFG gives children dreams, or families dreams. He gives people dreams. He collects them and gives them to people. I should really have done an introduction with a summary. Anyhow, I would like to add that this has had a particularly good performance by the girl who played Sophie. She sold me. It was an interesting
I
performance.
thought she was kind of annoying.
Go on.
She was just loud and obnoxious.
Counterpoint.
I started to like her more towards the end of the film than when I first met her because she was just, I don't know, something about her I just didn't like. I don't know if it was her acting or if it was just
Counterpoint.
character.
Wouldn't you be shouting if you were like this tall to a giant?
Not when I'm in an orphanage when I was asleep. Like, the orphans, they're asleep!
Hmm.
Orphans, sleep! And then she just, I don't know, and she's a know-it-all. She just goes, stop that.
Have you read the books?
No, I haven't.
Right.
So this explains it.
Yeah, so that's the character. That's actually quite an accurate, presentation of Sophie. She's not so much fearless as she's got her wits about her. It's a common theme with Roald Dahl books. So he'll often have quite a young protagonist who's often as smart, if not more, than the grown-ups.
Like
It's a common theme with his stuff.
As the film progressed, I tended to like her more, but when I first met her for like the first half an hour, I wasn't a fan of her, but I think that's just I'm a fan of kids.
Nice. Can we get that as a soundbite?
I'm not a fan of kids. Yeah, I don't know.
Also, there's a lovely soundtrack to it. So I'm pretty sure John Williams was all over it, and you could definitely hear it. There's certain influences of the Harry Potter soundtrack in this.
I got Star Wars vibes at 1.2.
Same guy. But really, the bit of music that really got me it was the bit when they go to the dream tree and start catching dreams, and there's this lovely sort of violin piece, some violins and strings piece that's very reminiscent of Tchaikovsky, like the Nutcracker, Swan Lake, that kind, Tchaikovsky's string stuff. It reminded me so much of that, and it was very, very nice. Because for a moment, it almost seemed like ballet. It was just, man, that's some really nice music. Refreshingly nice.
You know that part? I liked the use of the shadows and smoke, like when the giant ran away.
Yeah, there was some great
artistic imagery.
Yeah, I was actually going to say special effects, but artistic imagery also works. There was some great visual stuff. Just generally, visually, this film is very impressive. We really can't hammer that home enough. It's gorgeous. It's a fantastically luscious movie to look at. And here, some great sound mixing as well, from like the big rumbles of the giants coming in to just Sophie's very pert and clipped tones. It was all just a treat for the ears as well. I can only imagine what this was like if you were in a cinema with Dolby Atmos. Like this is gonna be one if you got a Dolby Atmos setup. You got anything else? For the first time in like 12 or so years, I laughed at a fart joke. It is a testament to how good to Roald Dahl's writing and how well this has been transcribed that I laughed at a fart joke. It was good. I was laughing stupidly in the theatre. It was just... I felt like an idiot, but it felt so good.
Yeah, it's basically a fart joke done right.
Yeah. It's a fart joke, but it doesn't feel cheap.
And it doesn't feel much like a fart joke in a sense.
Like, it's really weird to describe this. Like, this is how to do a fart joke right, but we don't know why it's how to do a fart joke right. And does that mean we can go on to the negatives?
Mm-hmm.
I would like this is a relatively minor one. Any complaints I have about this movie are fairly minor, but the one kind of minor one I have is this one that bugged me throughout the movie. This film really couldn't work out what time it was set in. I was picking my brains halfway through because there's like 70s cars and cobbled streets. But later on, we also find a relatively modern-looking looking bin lorry in Giant Land, and what seems to be at least a 2000s onward black cab in there. And I'm picking my brains throughout the whole movie. What time zone is it set in? It's not really a big problem, but it's distracting. If they'd only said 1983 or 2007 or present day or something at some point to set the time of the movie, then that would have stopped it bothering me. Because all the way through I was trying to think, is it modern? I mean, nobody seems to be using smartphones, but this doesn't feel like old. In the end, I actually sat there in the shower and I worked it out. Was the most modern thing in it, I think, is actually Sophie's torch, which emits a bluish light, which would suggest to me it's an LED torch. I mean, it probably is set in quite modern times. But beyond that, there's no real indicator of time, and it bugs me. But then this is me being super nitpicky.
There was a part of the film, you know the part when she climbs up onto the balcony and goes to, like, jump off?
Yeah.
That felt weird to me. Like, I don't know. It just felt strange, like, that's the only way to get the BFG to come out is to let's jump off the balcony. It just seemed a bit, I don't know.
I think it was a good way to do that scene.
I don't know.
Like, it was the best way they could do that.
Like, it kind of makes sense with the story, but I don't know, something just seemed a bit odd about it to me, like casual orphans climbing onto balconies and jumping off and stuff.
If the BFG wasn't like...
if he'd actually chipped off...
Yeah, she would be a pancake.
Like, she put too much faith into that. It was just something a silly kid would do, and it's just like, no. And like I said, I'm not a fan of her character. From the beginning.
Well, I suppose you can really lay into that ruminative, so... Do you want to expand on that, baby?
It's just like... I don't know if it was part acting or it was the character itself, but I don't know, it's just, everything, like, I don't know. She had to have everything a certain way, and, like, she was loud and kept, like... I'm surprised she didn't wake up the orphanage or get in trouble and stuff, basically.
Yeah, like... I'm wondering, how the hell did she not wake up the orphanage with all the noise she was making?
Like, she was making so much noise, and it was just, no one woke up.
Oh wow, they must all be really heavy sleepers.
And I don't like her voice. It was squeaky. But like I said, as the film went on, she became a little more lovable. I kind of wish the giants were similar to the scary ones.
Oh yes, yes. Thank you for reminding me of that one. That was it. That was something that was really nagging at me throughout the whole time because I watched when I was younger. I watched the 1989 direct-to-video... I think it was direct-to-video. I don't know if it had a theatrical run of the BFG, which was animated by Cosgrove Hall in the end of the 80s. And it did that typical British 80s animation thing of having at least one thing that's terrifying.
Yeah.
Just one absolutely horrifying thing in the middle of an otherwise fine movie. But anyway, in the 1989 movie, the evil giants were like huge, and there was like saliva dripping from them. They had glowing red eyes and gashes on their faces, and they looked truly horrifying, like absolutely horrifying. In this version, though they're big and imposing and they have some good voice work and sound work behind them, nothing really sells you on the fact that they're evil. And they eat children. They mention several times, let's go eat children and things. But you don't feel it. They don't look like they eat children on a like you would eat hot wings. They just look kind of big and like they reminded me of the Trolls in the Warcraft movie, not Trolls, the Orcs rather.
In the what?
You know the trailer for the Warcraft movie.
Alright, yeah, he looks like the big. Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah, you know exactly what I mean.
Yeah, they did. I got those vibes from the main bad guy.
Yeah, they just look like big orcs, and it was disappointing. Yeah, particularly when you mentioned you've seen the absolutely terrifying original ones. It's like, wow, it's a little anticlimactic, to be honest. I mean, they have presence, and the end, and, there's a bit at the end when they are kind of genuinely scary, but throughout it, they had very little presence, if you will.
They were like a threat that wasn't really a threat.
Yeah.
Like, they were a threat, but you didn't feel like that they were really a threat.
They felt more like school, like playground bullies than something truly evil.
It was kind of, they're bullying the BFG, that's getting flat, rather than these guys are eating children. We should probably stop that.
Yeah, that's exactly it. You hit the nail on the head. It's like, oh yeah, these guys eat children. That's a bit of a bad thing, really.
But he's bullying the BFG, so we have to stop him. Right, it just sounds like the school system in general, doesn't it?
And you got anything else on the negatives?
Why did they sleep in a day?
Because that's what giants do.
And why were they afraid of water?
Because. You got anything else? Because I don't.
I did forget to mention the reflections in this film were great too. Like, I noticed, like, the water reflections, like, even at the beginning of the film when the guys are jumping in it, it just looks really nice.
Yeah, there's, as I mentioned, some brilliant special effects in this. Did you ever get to see Tintin?
Yes. Well, parts of it. I don't think I've watched it all the way through.
This really does feel like the logical follow-on point from that. Like, over 5 or 6 years, they've come on from that and learned and improved. But I think that leads us on to the verdict. And Liam, what do you give the BFG?
It's not that bad. Like, if you like storybooks and stuff, you should go see it. It's good to watch.
So that's a 1 then. I suppose it's good.
1.
And I also found it a good movie. I don't think there wasn't anything in particular, save for the dream tree sequence, that really made me think, wow, that's an amazing sequence. Like, there wasn't any particular standout moments for me.
What about the bit when they're... That's spoilers.
Yeah. I was going to say, for me, there weren't any particular standout moments, but the whole movie maintains a sort of consistently good vibe.
With a lovable BFG.
Yeah. The whole movie never really dips at any point. It just feels consistently good. It feels just like warming and cuddly. It's definitely a movie you would want to watch on a rainy day. It's a happy movie. It's a feel-good movie.
Good old doll.
Yeah. Not particularly complex, but certainly a good time all around. So I give it a 1, making it a grand score of 2.
Go see it.
Go see it.
It's pretty good. Go see it with kids if you've got kids.
No,
yeah,
that's a good point. And you know what I think it's time for?
Spoilers?
I think it's time for spoilers. Did someone see spoilers?
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 Spoilers!
Oh.
Spoilers! Spoilers!
Yeah.
Let's talk about that dream tree sequence I keep mentioning, because I really want to go into spoilers on that one. Like, the rest of the movie doesn't really need a lot of spoilers, because it's all fairly straightforward and pretty good. But the dream tree sequence was one hell of a visual trip.
Like, they walk up to this tree, and it's kind of like a normal tree, but it's got water beneath it, and in the reflection you can see all like these firefly-like things that are the dreams, they say.
Yeah, and then the BFG jumps in the water and comes out the other end, and then so he does the same. There's fantastic.
Vertigo going on like
Yeah,
crazy.
It was fantastic bit where it transition and it all flips up and it goes around, and when you see all these beautifully coloured dreams floating around this this tree, and it's all just really gorgeous.
Very Final Fantasy and very pretty.
Like that entire sequence didn't need dialogue at all. It's just so gorgeous. It works on its own. It was visual poetry.
And I like how the dreams all had different things. Like they all felt different and meant different.
Yeah, and they all have like different sounds. And they look different. And I suppose that also brings me on to there's two sequences in this where the BFG custom creates a dream out of all the different dreams. He sort of pick and mixes a dream.
Stirs them up.
And that scene is pretty fantastic. It was, again, it's a visual effects masterpiece because you got the big red nightmares that's kind of thrashing about, and it looks like a big cancer cell or something. Like, and he's like traps it in a thing and puts all different little dreams in, and dashes of this, dash of that, and it looks like watching a craftsman doing his craft. It's really, really nice to watch. It's just engrossing.
I love how his home is set up. Like it's all mechanical and things going around everywhere. And he's got jars all over the place and the tree in the middle.
Yeah. And let's talk about that one particularly long tracking shot, shall we? In which the big nasty giants come in and start harassing the BFG. And Sophie is hiding in this tiny little, well, I say tiny, it's massive, but this one hole in the tree, and she comes out of the tree and walks around, and she has to basically stealth her way around all the giants, and she does this by running away from them, climbing up things, going into big channels, and it's just a glorious shot. It really is a just glorious visual little track. It's really fun.
It's cool to see her sliding around while all these giants are doing different things, destroying the place, and she's just hiding and escaping.
Yeah, visually, it's just so interesting. Again, it's one of those things that really doesn't need dialogue. I can't remember what a single line of dialogue was in that scene, just because I was distracted so much by how gorgeous the shot was.
I love how clunky the bad guy giants were. They just knock everything around. They're really kind of brutish and derpy. It was good.
Yeah, it was. Also, they put the BFG on a truck. And pushed
him down a hill. That was kind of mean.
Yeah, it was kind of mean.
He's smaller than them.
Yeah.
They're like giants, and he's like...
They call him Runt.
Yeah.
Because he's 24 foot or something? So he's pretty huge. He's tall as a house. Tall as, big houses. But they're twice or so bigger than he is.
Mm.
So they're really huge.
And they're bulkier, and he's kind of spindly.
Yeah.
You know the bit when it goes into the dude's eye, and it's looking at the BFG running away?
Oh, yeah.
That was pretty cool. That stuck with me.
Again, that's interesting you bring that up, because I think at least a couple of frames of that was a direct reference to the 1989 movie, in which the BFG runs away into this big reddish sort of cloud thing and goes to giant country. And in this you see the red eye and he's kind of running off. It's exactly the same shot. And I think they might have actually used a couple of frames from the 89 movie in it, just as part of the transition. Either way, it caused me to have a minor geek out while I was sitting there.
And you know that they pretty much live forever, kind of. That means the giants are going to be stuck on that island
Yeah.
forever. Eating
snozzcumbers. Forever.
And the main bad guy giant won't feel the regret or self-hate because he never got the dream inside of him, while the others did. So he's going to be surrounded by people who are like self-loathing and stuff. Like he's going to hate.
He's going to be surrounded by Debbie Downers.
People who regret what they've done. And he's just like, eating people is good, y'all. And they can't get off the island because they can't swim, and they're probably not smart enough to build a snozzcumber boat.
That's going to be a sequel, isn't it? They build a snozzcumber boat.
Yeah. But it's good the bad guys stopped eating kids, I guess.
Corgis farting!
Oh yeah, that's great.
I had to get that out of the way. So yeah, that fart joke. I really don't want to go into it too much, but there is a bit where the Queen's corgis fart and they get like jetting out the room. It's so good.
Like balloons.
Oh yeah, like balloons going.
It's good.
Made me smirk so stupidly.
I still love the BFG's personality. He's kind of like an old farmer in a sense.
He's like that big cuddly uncle you have somewhere. Like, you don't get to see that big cuddly uncle, but every time you go see that big cuddly uncle, he's big cuddly uncle. Yeah. And it's like, no, give me a big cuddly uncle.
He can hear everything.
Everything. Everything.
Oh, poor guy. But yeah, it's a good film.
So, 2D.
Out.
Out.